नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको अपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति नमो तस्स न्यानिकस्स धम्मस्सा सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो अट्टपुरिस पुग्गल ऐसा भगवतो सावक संगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्किनेयो अंजलि करणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुग्गला महासंगस सत् सत् Okay, so today's Dhamma talk is how to see or how to extract the right view concepts by understanding the Buddhist cosmology. Again, many people, they don't believe in cosmology. Some people, those who have some inclination towards Buddha's teachings, but still they have some doubts about cosmology. And some people who are, like say, are very happy with the cosmology, they have not understood the right view in that cosmology, in the Buddhist version of cosmology. First, we will see what is this cosmology, what is Buddhist cosmology, and what are the right view aspects that we can say look into this Buddhist cosmology, and how some wrong views about cosmology that can be kept away by correctly understanding the right view aspects of cosmology. That also we will see. Now, coming to this, what is cosmology? Cosmos means like universe. This existence, this universe, this existence is called cosmos. And of course, different religions, they talk about different planes of existence, like heavens, hells, and of course, in Hinduism, they talk about the Brahmic realms, where the Brahma gods they reside. The ordinary gods or the divine beings, they have different planes of existence. The Brahma gods, again, they have different planes of existence. So in that way, different realms are very much there in different religions. Different religions have their own version of cosmos, different planes of existence, different realms of existence. And in Buddhism also, sometimes Buddha rejects if some people are too confused or too much obsessed with the creation, and because of that they are forgetting the real purpose of becoming a meditator, of a seeker, of a spiritual practitioner. If they have forgotten it and they are confused, or simply they are dreaming, simply they are aspiring to know about the creator, creation. For such people, Buddha used to very rudely used to tell them, don't think on those lines, mind your own business. That is, work on your own mind. So that's what is Buddha's way of mending some people who are very much obsessed with the creation and creator. So there was one disciple by name Malunkyaputta. He was also very much obsessed with this creation. Who created this? Whether this creation, this universe is finite or infinite, whether it has end or no end with regard to the time, whether this universe has some end, with regard to the space, whether this is finite or infinite. This kind of questions are, I'll say, very much like, say, overpowering this Malunkyaputta. And he has forgotten the real purpose of, say, becoming an ascetic, becoming a seeker, becoming a full-time spiritual meditator or seeker under the guidance of Buddha. And they became so overwhelming in his mind. He became a bit rude also, became arrogant and rude with Buddha. If you don't tell me about this universe, about this cosmos, whether it is finite or infinite, whether it will end after some time or whether it will not end, whether who created this universe, these things, if you don't answer, then I'll just leave you. I don't want to continue my discipleship under you. Then Buddha, with the same, with same toughness or rudeness, of course, out of compassion, he just tells him, he just instructs him. See, I never told you to become my disciple. By promising you that I will answer all these unnecessary questions, speculative questions, useless, non-beneficial questions. I never promised that I will answer all these non-beneficial, useless, speculative, the questions that will arise from some confused mind, from irresponsible mind, those who can't understand the real responsibility in the life. Only for such people, these kind of questions will arise in their mind. So when this was told, then he became a little bit soft, and then Buddha again explains that, you see, when a person who is struck with one poisonous arrow, his first and foremost duty is to go to a doctor and just remove that arrow and remove the poison which has already entered into the body, and to save himself. That's what is his immediate duty. Instead of working on those lines, on those immediate things that he's supposed to do, if he keeps on worrying, if he keeps on, thinking about who has hit this arrow, from what distance he has hit this arrow, whether he's a man or woman, whether this arrow is made up of, metal or wood, again, which metal, in that way, he's simply dreaming and having this kind of unnecessary, curious questions, non-beneficial, rather dangerous questions. Then he's a fool, he will die. So what his immediate thing, he has to go to doctor. Because of that reason, so what Buddha is saying here, so he's asking, see, just like that is the simile he gives. So now your duty as a seeker, as a meditator, is to say, to come out of this grip of this dukkha by having this body and mind going through this repeated births and deaths. His dukkha is suffering, and then without letting go of all these worldly things and completely developing the awareness, developing the mindfulness, developing the stillness of the mind, concentration of the mind, and realizing the ultimate nature of the body and mind, and transcending this ultimate nature of the body and mind, and to get this ultimate freedom, Nibbana, liberation. That's what is your task. That's what is more essential. What is actually essential. All other things that you are simply dreaming and worrying and hallucinating, that is unnecessary. And by simply thinking, you won't get answer for those things. And again, this is the path. Mind purification is the path to get answer for all these things. Who created this? That is finite or infinite. All these questions will be answered, will be understood by you, will be realized by you in this very process of mind purification through these right view meditations. So that's what is Buddha's reprimand. That's how he reprimanded this Malunja Buddha. He admonished him, he reprimanded him. And after listening to these instructions, he could mend his mind, he could come to his senses, and he started working on his meditation. And of course, he became a great meditator, an arahant also. The same way, one monk, one bhikkhu, who is again very much curious about to know about this universe, this cosmos, how much expanse has this cosmos has, that he wanted to find out. And because of his intense meditation, again with this aspiration to know about the universe and the cosmos, he developed some supernormal powers also. And with his supernormal powers, he could travel across this universe, this world. But of course, there is the vastness of the universe is so much that when he was traveling, he became old and he died. And he died, and he took rebirth in some divine realm. And he was very unhappy because he could not find out the expanse of this world. And then he discussed with some divine beings there, and they said, we don't know about this universe, this expanse, whether it is finite or infinite, how big it is, all those things we don't know. Oh, you go and better discuss with your teacher who is still there in the human world. Then he just arrived back to the human world, and he discusses these things with Buddha. And Buddha again reprimands him, admonishes him. Again, that is none of your business. Develop some supernormal powers, some powers if you got, then you don't think that with your foolish curiosity you can find out the expanse of this universe. And that is not the immediate thing that you're supposed to do. And that is not the way also. If you start traveling outward traveling is useless. It will not give you any answers about the world. And it will be more confusing, and many people, they become mad with being, say, fascinated or being, say, disillusioned by this worldly charms or worldly diversity. So again, if you want to know about this world or the universe, go inwards. In this one fathom body, of course, which contains the mind also, but working on this mind, which is there in this one fathom body, then you can realize about the whole universe. So go inwards, work on your own mind, which is there in this one fathom body. Why you take these unnecessary risks, unnecessary efforts that you are making to develop some supernormal powers for your body and start flying to see the expanse of this world? This is like unnecessary, say, efforts that you are making to know about this universe. That is not the way. That is not the priority. That is point number one. Point number two, that is not the way to know about the world, to know about the cosmos, universe, the existence. So this is again one right view aspect. Even if you want to know about the cosmos, go inwards. That is the call given by Buddha to all these so-called, say, the curious people, those who are so much curious of the world. of the creation, of the creator. This kind of curiosity is there both in the scientific world and also in the spiritual world. In the scientific world, also people are say obsessed with this question, with this curiosity, and in the spiritual world also, people are obsessed with this question, like who created this world, who is the creator of this world, hmm? Or what is the expanse of this world, what is the nature of this creation. All these questions are very much like say completely like overpowered the intelligence, the wisdom of many of the spiritual seekers and also these worldly scientific seekers. They are simply uh, they were dominated by these questions and they have lost their common sense. Like, no, this is not the way of simply trying to explore the universe with a lot of confusion, either in a scientific way or with this spiritual beliefs, like some creator God has created this, so we will simply surrender with that kind of wrong questions only. This kind of wrong conclusions people have created in religions also. So the ideas of creator, the creator God, the creation, all these things, the religions have creeped in. Because many people have this wrong curiosity, the wrong questions, which are not truly beneficial, rather which are more confusing, that is main reason why people will fall into the wrong views, the wrong extreme views of annihilationism or annihilism or eternalism. These are the two extreme views, wrong views. The people who have belief about this creator God and creation, the creation is created by the creator God, they fall into these eternalistic wrong views. And those who are like very materialistic, very worldly, the atheistic views or even the agnostic views, they are bothered about the universe by knowing about the universe in a materialistic or in a scientific way. They also get confused with the changing nature of these worldly realities. Sometimes some people will conclude that the light travels in the form of particles. Some people say it travels in the form of waves. Some people say no, sometimes as particles, sometimes as waves. It travels light in that way. Again, even the scientific world also, it has fallen into a lot of confusion. In the name of say truth, the name of discovering the nature of this universe, the nature of this cosmos. So Buddha again, he talks about the right view of going inwards, working on one's own mind, and avoiding these extreme views, which again arises because of this curiosity to know about the creator, about the creation. Point number one is that is not beneficial. That very question is not beneficial. One should look into the dukkha aspect of the world and one should learn how to fix this dukkha, the suffering of this human existence that I have taken and work on that. For that, the path is working on one's own mind. Once you enter into that path of working your own mind, then you will start getting the answers to all these questions about creator God, about the cosmology, about the cosmos, about the planes of existence, all these things, all the answers you'll start getting. So that's what is actually the Buddha's right view about the creation. And if some wise people, if they have completely into this path of mind purification, to the right views, right to meditations, for such people, Buddha is already seen about these different realms of existence. And again, with some right view, if these realms of existence about this cosmology, if I explain, the people with some right view are already into this right view, they can understand. They will not fall into the extreme views of this God created this creation, that kind of eternalistic views, or the unhelistic or the materialistic views of these atheists. That also they will not fall into. So for such people, Buddha used to give some tips, some ideas about this cosmology, this cosmos, and again how one can traverse from the lower levels of the cosmos, lower levels of this existence to the higher levels. What are the ways and means, and how the people will fall back, or the beings will fall back from higher levels to lower levels. So in that way, Buddha gives some idea. Again, from this, one can comprehend the right view of how this cause and effect, the law of karma, how it works, how again the mind-centeredness, working on one's own mind, will help in even to progress in this cosmos from lower realms to higher realms, thereby deriving the higher happiness. Many people, of course, in all religions, including the Buddhism, the Buddhist people also, they aspire for the heavenly happiness, the heavenly bliss, the heavenly joy. Even for that, you should have right view and the right path, and this right view approach you should take up, even to get this heavenly realms. And many, uh, say the people who want to say transcend all this worldly happiness or the essential happiness to derive this Brahmic happiness, like in India. So of course, in some religions like say to transcend, some people may aspire for some yogis or some religious people. They may aspire for non-essential happiness, like only that absolute bliss of the Brahmic beings. For them also, Buddha gives the clarity of working on one's own mind, purifying one's own mind by understanding this law of cause and effect. That is the way even to achieve the Brahma realms, which are again not permanent realms, and they are not like the ultimate creators. Giving that kind of clarity. So Buddha emphasizes on working on one's own mind. That way, the Buddhist cosmology should be understood along with the right view approach. And if you correctly understand the Buddhist cosmology, ultimately you can understand so many concepts of right view. So that's what is the idea of say today's Dhamma talk. So we'll just see the Buddha's version of the cosmos. That is what is called the cosmology, and a few interesting things in this Buddhist cosmos, the cosmology. A few things we will see, and that will give some kind of inspiration to work for the higher realms, at least if not for Nirvana. Whether it is the aspiration to get the higher realms, like the divine realms or the Brahmic realms, or even to achieve Nibbana. The path is again to working on one's own mind, to indulge in the right actions, the right karma. Again, even the right karma is rooted in the purification of the mind through right action, through right physical actions, through right verbal actions, through right mental actions. So in that way, to establish in the right view becomes easy, even if you understand this Buddhist cosmology correctly. So, with this intention, we are going to discuss about this Buddhist cosmology today. So, Buddha talks about 31 planes of existence. The 31 planes of existence. So, there are 4 planes of existence which are below the human plane. What is the meaning of below the human plane? So, there in the below human realms of existence, there is more suffering, there is more defilements in those beings, in the minds of those beings. There is more grossness with their physicality also because of the grossness in their mentality. Grossness means like more defilements, more greed, more hatred, more delusion. And because of that, more suffering also. Grossness, defilements, suffering. All these 3 things go together. The grossness means like the heaviness, the bulkiness, the rigidness, the toughness of both physicality and mentality. That is what I mean by grossness. And that is because of more defilements in the mind. There is no purity in the mind. Because of that only, you invite or you embrace or you create your own grossness, both in body and mind, because of your own defilements. And because of this higher grossness and higher defilements in both physicality and mentality, both body and mind, you have to undergo a lot of suffering also, more suffering also. So more suffering, more grossness, more defilements, so that you can see in the realms below the human realm. They are called Duggati. Du means like not good, bad. Gati means the realms, the planes. So in those Duggati, the bad realms or the painful realms or the lower realms, you have higher suffering, less happiness. That's why they're called Duggati. Woeful states, they're also called woeful. Woeness means like that suffering is more, but woefulness means that suffering is more, that pain is more. And in the human realm, it's like 50-50 kind of thing. There is both suffering, there is suffering and happiness also. Again, the human world itself is one kind of universe actually. Here, all kinds of humans we can see. The happiest humans, very happy humans also we can see. Like arhants, they have completely transcended all their defilements. They're absolutely pure. That's why they're absolutely happy also. And many people, by practicing very, say, powerful meditations and getting jhanas, they live like Brahmas. The very human world, the humans who are working on their mind and purifying their mind and getting jhanas, they live like Brahmas in this very human world. And many humans, by becoming generous, by practicing morality, lot of generosity, lot of service-mindedness, humbleness, gratitude towards this kind of path, this kind of mind purification, they live like divine beings with lot of worldly powers also. And of course, many humans they live like animals. They live like rakshasas, like demons. So like hellish beings also, the human beings they live because of a lot of defilements, cultivating, multiplying the defilements. They live like animals. They live like demons or hungry ghosts with a lot of stinginess. They live like hungry ghosts also. So in the human world itself is one universe where all these kind of different species of humans you can see, different kinds of humans you can see. But in general, the human world, in this human body, they have relatively a bit of happiness, a bit of suffering. And below this human realm, you can see the the woeful states. And above this human realm, you can see the 6 divine realms. On these 6 divine realms, again, based on the mental defilements, based on the subtleness. The defilements are less. The mind and body becomes more and more subtle, more and more sensitive, more and more refined. That grossness will go, that refinedness will come. That's how they start emitting that. They look very radiant, their bodies, and they look very radiant, very glowing, very like charming and glowing and full of that radiance. Because the mind is also radiant, the mind is also like full of illumination. Because of that, they can fly. There is a lot of lightness also in their bodies. Because of that lightness in the body, because of the radiance, it comes because of the purity in the mind. The glow in the mind leads to the glow in the body. And that makes the body light also. That's how they can fly also. So again, based on that purity of the mind, the radiance, there are 6 levels of divine realms. The higher the purity, higher will be your divine realm. And again, all your sensuality, sensual desires you have transcended. You have only the desires which are very, very subtle. And lot of purity is there in the mind. Your greed, your hatred, your delusion has come down, has reduced so much drastically. And you have reached one level, you have crossed that threshold of that subtleness, of that purity, of the divine purity you have crossed. You have reached the Brahmic purity. Then those beings are, like, say, much more subtle, much more refined, more bright, more powerful. Yeah, even the power also. Power of creating a few things temporarily. Those powers also, the divine beings also will get because of the purity. The Brahma beings, they will get higher powers because of higher purity. Power and purity, again, they go together. Higher the mental purity, higher will be your power. Physical powers also. Mental powers, physical powers also will be there. And again, these Brahmic realms, there are 16 levels of Brahmic realms. So you can achieve the 16 levels of purity by transcending from lower realms to the higher realms in these Brahmic realms. So in that way, there are four more this Arupa Brahma realms, where there is no Rupa at all. They have transcended their bodies, their minds have become like infinite. They don't have this binding by the so-called body. That's why they're called Arupa. Arupa means body. Arupa means no body. They transcended the body. They became the bodiless mind beings. They will have only the minds. And if you transcend even the very, very subtle defilement that in that bodiless minds, if you can fix that very subtle defilement in that mind beings minds, then you enter into what is called Nirvana. I completely transcend both body and mind. We will settle in what is called the Nirvana. And that stage Buddha could strike with his absolute meditation. That final stage of breaking that very minute defilement, that is the cause of creating the mind and being in that mind and being that mindless state, that Arupa state, that Buddha could discover under the Bodhi tree. And that's what is Buddha's discovery of transcending even from that Arupa Brahma minds to the absolute liberation, absolute Nibbana. Just that Nibbana, there is no rebirth, there is no coming back to these 31 planes of existence. But if you are there in any one of these planes of existence, even at this ultimate mindless or this bodiless, this Arupa Brahma states, if you have taken rebirth there, but there is a chance of accumulating your defilements, multiplying your defilements. These defilements are like these, say, these seeds from a tree. If one seed can produce one whole tree, and that again, that whole tree, it can produce millions of seeds, millions of fruits and seeds. And again, millions and millions of that kind of trees may grow just because of one seed. Like one peepal tree or banyan tree, let us say you destroy all the banyan trees in a forest, but there is only one seed that you could not destroy. And that very one seed is sufficient enough to again grow, and it will become a tree, and it will produce thousands and lakhs of fruits, and those lakhs of fruits will produce millions of seeds again, and then those millions of seeds may produce again millions of trees, banyan trees. So in that way, even one defilement is sufficient enough to come back, to fall down to the lower realms. And this repeated cycle of births and deaths will keep on going again and again. And when we are stuck in this repeated births and deaths, which is called samsara, the repeated cycle of this births and deaths, if it goes on repeating, then you can't escape from this clutch, this grip, this binding, this burden of body and mind, you can't escape. And that is what is the dukkha. If you want to escape from this, you should learn how to break or how to fix even the ultimate defilement. And that will liberate you to the Nibbana. That's what is Buddha's discovery. That's how Buddha very, very powerfully he could teach and he could liberate millions of beings. So in that way, with this aspiration of to know this entire canvas of the cosmology and how to come out of this cosmology to enter into Nibbana with this right view, that entire knowledge of right view, the entire canvas, the entire spectrum of right view, of how this even a minute defilement will will fix you in this realm of this cycle of births and rebirths, in this dukkha of samsara. And again, if some beings, they may not be very much fascinated by the idea of Nibbana or ultimate liberation. They may be aspiring for the divine realms or the superior happiness, even in the human realms, even in the human world. That's why I want more powers, more wealth, more health, more respect, more love. So in that way also many people will aspire. For them also again, the path is mind purification only. Working on one's own mind only with this right view. If you work very seriously, you will be liberated. You will get Nibbana with absolute dedication. If your dedication is a little bit less, because your aspiration is a little bit less for Nibbana, then you may reach Arupa Brahma realms, the bodiless, the Brahmas. Or if your aspiration is a little bit less and you are stuck with, say, Rupa Brahma happiness, Arupa Brahma powers, then also you have to work on your own mind. Start purifying your mind. A lot of defilements is very much there in our minds. You have to fix them with these right view meditations, even to achieve this Rupa Brahma realms. Even if you want to achieve the divine realms, where there is a lot of divine happiness, you will be having all the five senses intact in the divine realms, and you can achieve very subtle, very, very refined happiness in the divine realms, even with the five senses. In the Rupa Brahma realms, you will achieve lot of powers, you can create many things, and so many beings will be under your control, many divine beings also under your control. So some people are aspiring for that kind of powers. They have to transcend these sensual desires, even the subtle sensual desires of these divine beings. And some people, if they aspire for the worldly powers, worldly sensual pleasures, to achieve some higher respect, higher powers in this very human world itself, the very human world itself. Again, they have to work on their greed, hatred, and delusion. They should learn these meritorious actions of generosity, service, and respecting the respectables in the hierarchy of purity, mental purity, surrendering to them, serving them. These things they practice. Then they achieve those higher powers, even in this human world. So this law of karma, one should work, and law of karma, it always say one should look into this law of karma at one's own mind level, one's own mental purity level. How much mental defilements I could understand and I could fix them. What an extent, with what kind of grip on these mental defilements, with proper understanding of this. This knowledge of right view and right view meditation, right view meditation practices, this is the only way. This is the only option that you have, whether you want to achieve the human world, the pleasures or powers, or divine world pleasures or powers, or the Brahmic world powers, or Arupa Brahma world freedom. There is also a lot of freedom is there. But once you transcend even this Arupa Brahma realms, you will enter into what is called the Nirvana. That's absolute bliss, absolute freedom, and there is no coming back. So that kind of power, purity, pleasure, that canvas, that entire range, that entire spectrum of power, purity, pleasure, you can understand, if you can understand this, the entire Buddhist cosmology. And you will again understand there is no need to fall into the extreme views of some creator God has created these things. It's again our own minds. It's again our own mind purity that will help us to enter into these different planes of existence. So let us work on our own minds, purifying our own minds. Of course, with so many meritorious actions, also you can purify your mind through generosity, through service, through morality, through meditations, and of course, directly through meditations. Like for the renunciates, directly they can work on the full-time meditators. They can directly work on their minds and they can derive all these different levels of purity. These different levels of purity, they associate with these different levels of the cosmology, Buddhist cosmology, and also they associate with the different levels of power and pleasure also. Okay. Now to get some idea about this different planes of existence, we will see what are these different planes of existence. Just the names may be a little difficult for the beginners, but those who are already into this path, for them I think it's not very difficult. You can just see these slides, and then again, what are the different powers and abilities in these different planes of existence? That also I'll just explain for a few minutes, and then we can conclude with some questions and answers. Now, there are three groups, we can say, we can classify the different realms, these 31 planes of existence, into these three groups. The formless realms, the realms of form, the Rupa Lokas. Rupa means form. Form means the body. There is some body, physicality, some physical body is there. So that's called the Rupa Loka beings. Arupa Loka beings, as I was telling you, there is no form, there is no physical body. There is only mind. So there are four, as I was telling you, there are four Arupa Loka formless realms, and there are 16 realms of this Rupa Loka. They are called Rupa Brahmas. There are 16 kinds of Rupa Brahmas. Again, based on, of course, the purity, the power. And then there are four Rupa Brahma realms. There are 16 Rupa Brahma realms. And the Kamaloka. The Kamaloka means the sensual pleasures, the beings for enjoying these different kinds of sensual pleasures, who are indulged in, who are being indulged in these sensual pleasures. There are 6 divine realms, 1 human realm, and even the lower realms, the woeful states, the beings in the woeful states, they're also called the Kamaloka beings because their 5 senses are also very intact, the physical senses. And of course, more than enjoying these sensual things, they are suffering from these 5 senses because of the grossness of the senses. Again, the grossness of the senses is because of the grossness in the mind. The grossness in the mind is because of the intensified, the multiplied, the rigid defilements. So these planes we will see, then we will see the different kinds of defilements that are being intensified in those planes, and because of which, how they are suffering, the lower realms, and in the higher realms, how they have freed their mind from these defilements, and how they are enjoying those things. For a few minutes we will see. So now in this we will see the 11, the 4, the woeful states, 1 human realm, and then 6 Deva realms, or the divine realms. These 11 realms, they come under this Kamaloka. First we will see that, then we will see the Rupa Loka realms, then we will see the Arupa Loka realms, And then a few interesting things in these different realms also we will see. Now we will show this Kamaloka realms, the 11 Kamaloka realms. The last one. Yeah, this one. So in this planes of existence, the Kamaloka. So this is called Kamaloka sense sphere. So here in this Kamaloka sense sphere, so this is not 4, this is 11. Just make correction here. This is 11 Kamaloka planes. This is not 4, this is 11 Kamaloka planes of existence. In this 11 Kamaloka planes of existence, the lowest 4 are the unhappy states. Duggati means like unhappy states. They are below this human plane. Manusya means human plane. So below this human plane, there are 4 Duggati or unhappy states. Among these 11 Kamaloka, the 4 lowest planes, they are unhappy states. They are called Duggati. Du means like bad or not good or not happy. So then that kind of Gati means like state. So there are 4 states. The lowest among these 4 is Niraya. Niraya means the hellish beings. Then comes the Tirachana Yoni. Tirachana means like the beings which go across, like the 4-legged animals, the animal planes. Animal plane is called Tirachana Yoni. And next one is the Peta Yoni. Peta Yoni means like hungry ghosts. That is the next plane of existence. And above that, there is what is called the Asura Yoni. Asura Yoni means like the demons or the titans, where they're very ferocious, very full of that wrathfulness or anger and hatefulness, jealousy, that kind of beings. They are called the Asuras. So these beings, here in the Niraya, they have all these 3 major defilements: the greed, hatred, and delusion. It is very severe in these beings, and again, that's why they suffer in these hellish beings with a lot of torture. The more defilements you have, the more intense defilements like greed, hatred, and delusion you have, then you have more grossness. Because of that grossness, and because of these defilements, you attract more suffering also in the hellish realms. And in the Tirachanayoni, in the animal realms, there is more of ignorance, more of delusion. That's why more delusion, more fear also. That's why you can see the animals, they have a lot of fears. They have to protect themselves from the prey animals, from the predators. They have to protect themselves. A lot of fear, a lot of insecurity, a lot of ignorance. You can see in these animal realms. And in these Peta realms, there is a lot of greed. Greed is the major defilements in these hungry ghosts. Because of that, they crave for food, water, and the basic necessities of life. They have to struggle, they have to crave. And because of that also they have to go through a lot of hardships, lot of pain, lot of suffering. And they are called the Petas. Generally after the death of human beings, definitely more or less almost all humans, 99.99% of the humans, they go through this Peta realms also. That's what Buddha says, and all wise people also say. Because they have attachment to some say a few things of the worldly life, of the human world, like food, water, these things. If they have strong attachment and strong attachment to any of these essential things, they will take rebirth in that Cheta world. Their essential desires will not be satiated. The desire is there, but the desire is not satiated. That's why they suffer more and more because of that greed. That's what they say, the Peta Loka. And because of that reason only, there's something called Punyanumodana practice after the death of the relatives, parents or grandparents. People actually, they do some meritorious actions in their name and help others who want some food, who want some water, who want some basic needs like clothes or accommodation, something like that, basic things. And that is being given, that is being generously given. Then that very contentment of the person who is performing that, and his father, his grandfather, if he is in these Peta lokas, Peta realms, so he will get some kind of joy by seeing this. In his name, some good action, some meritorious action has been done. So he will get that joy. He will share that punya, and that will satiate his desires, and he will be freed from that Peta loka, from that loka of hungry ghosts. That's what is the science in this custom, in this ritual that has been, that is very much there in many religions. And Buddha gives this the absolute clarity about this kind of ritual, this kind of ceremony. It's called Punyanamodana. So you do perform this kind of meritorious actions in the name of the departed relatives. They get that punya, means that they also get that joy, that their minds also will get some kind of satiation, some kind of satisfaction, and they will be freed from that Petaloka. From the Totan, they go upward journey. They may take birth as a human being if they have some punya, and if they have more punya, accumulated punya previously, they will take birth in the divine realms also. So in that way, in these lower realms, in this Peta Loka, Peta Yoni beings, hunger and this greed, this sensual craving is so much in this Peta Loka beings. Next, in this Asura Yoni or these demonics or these titans, there the hatred is a predominant defilement. Always they're quarrelsome, they will always like that warring groups, they will be in any of the warring groups, fighting groups. So that kind of ferocious, aggressive, full of enmity, full of grudge and revenge, that kind of beings, they are called the asuras. There the hatred is a predominant thing. Because of that, they become very gross, they attract more evil, more suffering. That's why they are below the human realm. So here, what is the right view here? The right view, again, you can see here, like working on your own mind is important. Purifying, identifying your defilements and fixing them is more important. If you come out of this greed, hatred, and delusion, then you can come out of these lower realms, unhappy states. So to come out of this greed, hatred, and delusion, these defilements, so what you have to do, either you or your lineage, if they do some meritorious actions, the generous actions. In generous actions, there is loving kindness. You can reduce your enmity. There is non-stinginess. You can reduce your greed. Your stinginess, selfishness will reduce these generous actions. And then a little bit of course, what is right, what is wrong, understanding the Four Noble Truths, and understanding the law of cause and effect. And of course, if you are into these right view meditations, then you can work on your ignorance also. Then you can escape from these lower realms. And that is the right view that you should extract, derive by understanding the nature of these unhappy states. Okay. Then in the human plane, of course, as I described, there is equal level of happiness and suffering. But out of ignorance, again, humans, some people, they will be overpowered by their defilements and they behave in a more evil way with more of these defilements, greed, hatred, and delusion, and they suffer more. And among the human plane itself, some good people, they are more generous, they become more moral, they become more service oriented, they become more meditative. Such people, again, in the human plane itself, they will have a better life, they will have more happiness, more wealth, more power, more health. All this comes from purity, more purity of the mind. Always relate happiness, power, pleasure to purity, then you have understood a lot of right view. So many aspects of right view I have understood. Then you will understand the power of meritorious actions. You will understand good begets good, bad begets bad, the law of cause and effect, the law of karma. Again, you will progress in what is called this right view. So in that way, you should relate this to this cosmology with the right view. Then you will get more inspiration, more motivation to work on your own mind, to work on meritorious actions, which will again help in purification of the mind, reducing the grossness of the mind, reducing the defilements of the mind. So, with that intention, you should study, should understand the cosmology, then it will be of great use. Then comes the Devaloka celestial planes. There are 6 celestial planes. So, these 6 celestial planes, the lowest one is the Chatu Maharajika. They have again a lot of powers to protect the human beings, with some, say, bestowing the rains of prosperity. So, again, that power will come with purification of the mind. After the death, if you are at the time of death, your mental purity is high, relatively high as a human being, with a lot of meritorious actions like generosity, meditation, morality, service. If you die with that relatively better mind, then you can take birth in this Chatmaharajika plane, of a divine plane. There you have very long life also. You have subtleness of the body, a little bit of shining body also. It's again, you achieved those things because you have purified your mind. When you are a human being, you worked on these meritorious actions like generosity, like meditation, and all these things. And if that purification is little more high, then you take birth in what is called the Tavatimsa plane of existence, where the 33 gods, even Tavatimsa means 33, they also have more powers. They are more powerful than these Chatumaharajika devas. Again, that power comes from purity of their minds, because there are so many incidents in the scriptures that you can see that there is one Tavatimsa god who has become the king of these Tavatimsa gods. His name is Sakka. He and his 33 friends, when they were in the human realm, they did a lot of service activities, lot of meditative service activities, lot of generous activities they have done. Like many generous things, like say providing food, providing water, growing trees, and all these things. A lot of generous service activities they have done, and with right view, of course, by following this, understanding this right view of mind purification. Because of those generous and meritorious actions, they became the divine beings in this Tavatimsa plane, and that Sakka, he became the king of these Tavatimsa gods, and their lifespan is also 1000 celestial years. It is also very, very long. The human year is not equal to one celestial year. Celestial year is very, very long. So in that way, their lifespan also is also the same way in the Yama, next level, Tusita, next level. Even the previous life of our Buddha, Gautama Buddha, it was in this Tusita. He was the king of Tusita. And the next Buddha, the coming Buddha, Maitreya Buddha, they say, now he is the king of this Tusita realm. He is enjoying a lot of divine happiness in this Tusita realm. Of course, with the intention of becoming Buddha in the next life as Maitreya Buddha. Then the Nirvana Rati, they have a lot of powers to create something. They can create mansions, palaces, very artistically. They have that very power. That power again comes from your mind purity only. And again, this Paranimita Vaskoti, they have much more higher powers, higher longevity, 16,000 celestial years. In that way, all this longevity, all these powers, all these pleasures, in all these 6 Deva realms, all the 5 senses are intact, the body senses, but they are very subtle. They can enjoy very, very refined sensual pleasures. Very, very refined. So here in the human plane and in the lower planes, and also in the Chatumaharajika plane. These gross sensual pleasures, the pleasures from let's say like the bodily pleasures, the lust pleasures are also there. But once you go through, then they become much more subtler and subtler. Even the body sense pleasures also become subtler and subtler. Very refined, very refined pleasures they enjoy. And they enjoy a lot of powers also. So all these things, they are related to the mind of purity. Please understand. And mind purity is related to the right view and right view meditations. How authoritatively they are practicing right view and right view meditations. It is proportional to your mind purity, and the pleasures and power. They are again they are directly proportional. So in that way, you should understand the right view aspects of good begets good, mind-centeredness. Purifying the mind is the very purpose of human life. So that is the advantage of taking birth in the human realm. You can understand all these right view and right view meditations authoritatively, and then you can fulfill the very aspiration of a human life. Mana Ussati iti Manusha. One who works on the mind and purifies the mind, he is a Manusha. Mana means mind. Ushati means like developing or purifying. So that is the advantage of taking birth in a human world. You can correctly understand the importance of the mind. Everything arises from the mind, so I have to work on the mind either to get happiness. I ignore, and if I corrupt my mind, then I fall into suffering. This right view, if you want to thoroughly establish, you can see the happiness, the power, the pleasure, the purity of these beings in different planes of existence. You automatically understand, oh, it is the mind, the purity of the mind that is responsible for the power, the pleasure, and the longevity, the lifespan, the beauty. So everything is related to the purity. That understanding, if you get, then you will definitely establish in the right view. Working on the mind, purifying the mind. The mind-centeredness you will appreciate. Okay, next slide. The Rupaloka slide. Yeah, this one. So after the divine realms, if again you purify your mind, so the grossness of the three senses, the body sense, the tongue sense, the nose sense, that will completely disappear. You will become more refined and more pure, and you will actually transcend your body sense, transcend your nose sense, transcend your tongue sense. When you are purifying and transcending these three senses, your ear sense and eye sense and the mind sense, they become much more powerful. Or you are not stuck in these bodily desires, like the body sense or this touch sense. When you transcend this, then there is nothing like male or female, femininity, masculinity. The gender is not seen in the Brahmas because they have transcended that gender, that body sense, and there is no like this male and female, or male Brahma, female Brahma, and that marriage or that essential producing children with copulation. All those things are not there. And of course, in divine realms also, in the higher divine realms, there is no copulation, there is no producing of children through copulation. That is not there. But in the Brahmic realms, so when they transcend this body sense or this touch sense, there is nothing like this femininity, masculinity. This sex is not there. They have developed much higher powers of the mind, higher powers of listening, higher powers of seeing, the whole world systems, the whole systems they can see because of their powerful visual sense. eye sense, and they can hear the sounds from different world systems because of their powerful hearing sense. So in that way, they develop more powers and they develop more mental pleasures, mental joy, rather than the physical joy of eating. There is no eating, and also in the case of Brahmas. Why? Because there is nothing like, say, your tongue sense and nose sense. If the tongue sense and nose sense is very much predominant, then only you have those desires of eating and smelling. If you are transcended that, and all the powers of these three senses have come to these other three senses, the ear sense, eye sense, and mind sense, then all this headache or all this problem of eating and producing children, all these problems are not there in the Brahmic realms. So in that way, in the Brahma realms, in this Rupa Brahma realms, so only three senses which are very, very powerful: the mind sense, the ear sense, and the eye sense, that you can see, and they don't have the suffering of these other three body senses. So that is what is the Rupa Brahma planes. And again, when you achieve the jhanas, the deep absorptions in meditation, when you achieve the first jhana, you will get these first three Rupa Brahma realms. When you achieve the second jhana, then you achieve these second jhana realms, where again the longevity also will keep on increasing. It again based on the purity of the mind. Purity of the mind is again based on your meritorious action of meditation, bhavana, jhanas. When you start getting jhanas, then you go to higher and higher realms in this cosmology, and with more and more powers, with more and more abilities and powers. The same way in the Tatiya jhana or in the third jhana, you will achieve these three realms. And again in the third jhana itself, if you have superior third jhana, you achieve the highest Subhakinna, something like that. Of course, you need not worry about these names. And all these names are also like the meaning of these names. It's about the radiance of those Brahma beings. Higher the radiance, higher the purity, higher the lifespan, higher in the hierarchy of these Rupa Brahma realms. In that way, a very great thing, a very virtue, a very power, you can relate it to the mind purity. Whether it is health, wealth, power, attraction, beauty, pleasure, happiness, joy. You can relate all these things with the purity of the mind. And that's why the right view, Buddha always emphasizes on mind-centeredness and purity of the mind. And again, of course, if you achieve the fourth jhana, the deep absorption, the fourth jhana, again you can achieve this 7 planes of existence, which is a much more superior purity, superior power, powerful plane. Okay, these are the 16 Rupa planes, and there the brilliance, the radiance is high, and they transcended the three bodily senses, the three physical senses, the touch sense, the tongue sense, and nose sense. And all the powers of these three senses have come to the mind sense, to the nose sense, and eye sense and ear sense. And they don't have this botheration of food, eating, and sex. They have transcended these things also. And in that way, to that extent, they are free from the suffering of those bodily senses. So in that way, you can relate this hierarchy in this Buddhist cosmology to the purity of the mind. Okay, the next one, next slide is about Arupa Brahma realms. So again, there are 4 Arupa Loka or Arupa Brahma realms where they don't have param at all. The lowest one is the Akasanchayatana. If you achieve the 5th jhana, then you go to this Akasanchayatana plane of Arupa Brahmas. Then if you achieve the 6th jhana, again purify your mind with the 6th jhana absorption. Then you will reach what is called this Vijnananchayatana. Your only consciousness is prevailing at that stage. And Akinchanyatana, nothingness. It's a plane of nothingness. And Nevasanya, Nasanya, very slightly you're attached to the mind in that eighth jhana plane. So this one is the eighth jhana plane, and this one is the seventh jhana, this is sixth jhana, means like highest meditative state, samadhi. You achieve these things, you reach these different Arupa Brahma planes where you have transcended your body completely. Even your ear sense and eye sense, you have transcended. All the powers of ear sense and eye sense have come to the mind sense. And you have transcended the body completely. That's why it's called Arupa. There is no Rupa, there is no body at all. Only mind has, like, say, it has pervaded into the universe, to the existence, to the world system, with very subtle mind, with very powerful mind, with lot of freedom from all the body and bodily senses. You are free from those things. And with, of course, lot of powers of the mind. So again, you can relate. What is the right view here? Higher the purity, higher the powers of the mind, higher the freedom in the mind. So you can be free from all these body and bodily senses. You can start enjoying the happiness of freedom, happiness of liberation from this body, the bodily senses. That is a superior happiness, and that you can achieve by this what is called purification of the mind through meditativeness, through samadhi, through concentration, through mindfulness, and through concentration. Through samma sati, samma samadhi, you can achieve these things. And again, if you practice the insight meditations at this fourth jhana, then you can see the ultimate nature of the body and mind very clearly, and you can completely liberate from the mind also. Completely, even that very subtle mind also you can liberate. Even this highest arupa loka plane, nevasanya nasanya, that you can achieve with the eighth jhana, that also you can transcend. You can come out of that very minute defilement and transcend the mind also, and you enter into what is called the Nirvana, which is the state where there is no body and there is no mind also. And in these four planes, there is no body, but a little bit of mind is there. But once you completely purify the mind and enter into the state of Nirvana, you have transcended the mind also, and you have transcended all defilements also. There is no coming back. There is no falling back again into this vicious trap of these 31 planes of existence. Because one defilement it may multiply, and from this stage of Nevasanya, you may fall into the Akasanchayatana, and again you may fall into the Rupa Brahma realms. From there you may fall into the Deva realms. From there you may fall into the human realms or the animal realms also. Sometimes the defilements multiply because you don't have the idea to fix them, because you don't have the meditativeness or the meditative skillfulness. Then you may directly become an animal. That's what happened with regard to one Brahma, because his defilements multiplied and he became a pig. He became one pig, one animal. That is a risk of say being in this samsara of these 31 planes of existence. So if you have some shortcut practices of some devotion, of some, say, surrendering to some Brahma or some kind of shortcut practices, ignoring or not knowing about the importance of working on your own mind, purifying your own mind through meritorious actions, with right view meritorious actions, right view meditation, with this mind-centeredness, not falling into these wrong views of eternalism, God-centeredness, soul-centeredness, or the wrong view of nihilism, like atheistic or this body-centered or this materialistic views, avoiding these extreme views, working on his own mind, this mind-centered. That is what is being highlighted this entire talk. Because even to achieve the higher realms in this cosmology, this cosmos, you have to work on the mind. Then you can authoritatively achieve higher realms, and even to transcend all these planes of existence, because there is a risk always in any plane of the existence. There is a risk of accumulating the defilements and again falling back. That risk is very much there. So again, to fix even the subtlest defilement also. So this mind-centered approach, correctly understanding the defilements through right view, correctly fixing the defilements through right view meditation is the only path. If that understanding comes, then automatically you will start appreciating this right view approach, and then you can start learning this right view more and more authoritatively, more and more experientially, more practically through this right view meditation. So, as many of you know, the right view meditation courses will commence from uh, July, the online courses. In July, we have it in Hindi, and August, we have it in Telugu language, and in September, we'll have it in Kannada language, and in October, we'll have it in English language, all the 4 levels, online courses. All of you attend, all of you encourage your friends and relatives to attend these courses. This is the best gift that you can give to your friends and relatives, and also for yourself. Okay, I think with this much, we'll conclude today's Dhamma talk. So, what is the essence summary of this Dhamma talk? Always mind-centeredness is the middle path. Mind-centeredness is the moderation path. Mind-centeredness is the right path. To progress in happiness, in pleasures, in purity, in power, and even in this cosmology, in this cosmos also, to reach divine realms or the Brahmic realms or the Arupa Brahma realms or the Nirvana. And if you ignore mind, ignore the purification of the mind and allow the mind to accumulate more and more impurities, you will fall down. So this kind of mind-centeredness is the takeaway, key takeaway, even when we learn this cosmology. So that point you keep in your mind as one of the key takeaways of this talk about the right view. Okay, and also the good begets good, the bad begets bad, and the 4 noble truths. The more you crave, the more you suffer. The more you give and give up, the more you become happy. That is the essence of 4 noble truths. That is again the way to achieve the mind purification and the mental powers, mental abilities, and also the happiness, the understanding the 4 noble truths, the essence of which is the giving. More giving and giving up, more happiness, more freedom, more success, more power. You can understand, you can comprehend the 4 noble truths, you can comprehend the law of cause and effect. When you correctly understand this, Buddhist cosmology is nothing but this right view only. This 4 noble truths, law of cause and effect. These things are right view only. This you can correctly comprehend if you can correctly understand the Buddhist cosmology. Okay, there are some questions coming up. We will see these questions and conclude. Who told you that Patisandhi Chitta of Mahakusal Chitta is only one Chitta? Proper way of asking questions, these people have not yet learned. Okay. How defilement can be eliminated? So this is the way. Work on these meritorious actions like generosity, morality, service, and the right view meditations, bhavana. And of course, this punyana modana, these things also will help. So the 10 meritorious actions, that is the way to work on your defilements. And the most powerful way is to take up these right view meditation courses, because here an integrated way. in an authoritative way. You will understand all the four faculties of the mind, and you will start knowing about the good and bad, the defilements and the purification factors in your own mind, and you will start working, you will start developing the good factors of the mind in these four faculties, and you will start curbing, you start fixing the negative factors in all these four faculties of the mind, and that is the way to fix the defilements, eliminate the defilements. The right view meditation approach is the most authoritative way, and in a way, the only way to fix the defilements. The food of Arupa Brahmaloka beings is like their own punya, that their mind purification itself is the food for them. For some Rupa Brahma, Rupa Loka Brahma beings, it is the respect, or the piti. Piti is the food. Their own joy becomes the food for them. For Rupa Brahma beings also their own punya and their own joy. For Rupa Brahma beings also they don't eat. It is only their purity that is the food for them. Only those who are stuck with this no sense and tongue sense, they have this problem of eating. One time eating, two times eating, three times, five times. And all this problem of eating is for those who are having this no sense and tongue sense. For those who are transcended, for them the mental purity, the mental piti itself is the food for them. Okay. So understand this, the key takeaways correctly. All these superficial things that will become irrelevant or insignificant several times. If you know the gist of this, the right view of this, all these talks that we are emphasizing somehow to make you understand about the importance of mind-centeredness, the right view of say fixing the defilements of the mind through right view meditations, through these meritorious actions, by understanding these four noble truths correctly. That's what is our intention. If we can catch this and understand this and work on this enthusiastically, with all commitment, with all willpower, then you will be saved here and now in this life, and also you will be saved hereafter. Okay. So with this, we'll conclude. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा भवतु सर्वमंगलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सर्वधम्मानुभावेन सर्वसंघानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते सुखी भवेयन्निदुःखो अहं निच्चा अहं विया इदा चा मे सुखी होन्तु मज्जता च तवेदिनो माभिगम्मन्ते धम्मे अत्ता होन्तु सुखी सदा अतो परञ्चारज्येषु चक्रवालेषु जन्तनो साधु 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 सुखी होन्तु wonderful. May all of you be happy, healthy and peaceful. May all beings also be happy, healthy and peaceful. May all of you understand this right view and progress in this right view practically, authoritatively, by going through these right view courses also. Sukhi Hontu.